Hi everyone, welcome back to Kulu Ed. Together we learn. In today's lesson, we're going to be learning about Black people in Roman Britain. Our key question is this: how has the presence of Black people in Roman Britain been proven by historians? Now, before I begin, I want to let you know where I got this amazing lesson from. I used this textbook to create this lesson. It's called Black British History in Key Stage 3, and it's a teacher resource pack. It was created by two of my friends, actually, Emily Foloroncho, Dr. Simon Henderson, and Tenny Gogo. These are amazing teachers, amazing historians, and great friends of mine. In this book, you have a number of different lessons that look at Black British history, and I'm going to be using this as part of this series. Now, let's move on. Before we begin, pause the video. You'll need to make sure you have a piece of paper and a pen before we begin. So if you haven't got a piece of paper and a pen, please pause the video now. Okay, now in today's lesson, we're going to be asking ourselves a number of key questions. Who are the Black people in Roman Britain? How did they get to Britain? Why did they come to Britain in the first place? And what were they treated like? Did racism exist here? Were they slaves? Were they rich? Were they wealthy? These are all the different questions that I hope we are able to find out in today's lesson. Now, to the right or on the side, you've got these two images. You've got an image at the top, right? Now, the man on the right is somebody known as Septimius Severus, and he was a Roman emperor in Britain. Now, Septimius Severus was from Libya. He was from modern-day North Africa. And the person below is somebody we know as Ivory Bangle Lady. And we're going to be finding more about these two individuals. I bet you're asking yourself, an African Roman general? An African living in Roman Britain? Ivory Bangle Lady? Why is she called Ivory Bangle Lady? Where did she live in Roman Britain? Let's find out some of these questions, shall we? Now, some key words for today's lesson. The first key word is migration. Now, migration stands for the human migration is the movement of people from one place to another with the intentions of settling permanently or temporarily at a new location. Now, migration may happen for a number of reasons, right? Some people may move to another country as a result of trying to find a job, for example. Some people might be forced to migrate as a result of persecution in their current home. Now, when we use the word persecution, that's when you are usually picked on or treated badly simply because of the color of your skin, some of the beliefs you have. And these people who migrate from one place to another due to persecution are often known as refugees. Now, no one is born as a refugee. You become a refugee as a result of treatment. And that's something that can happen to every single one of us. Now, the other question, the other key word is diaspora, right? A population or group of people that have once lived in one place, but who have since been scattered and lived in multiple places. Now, one of the key diasporas we tend to talk about is the African diaspora. You have people who once were originally from Africa all over the world. They are in the Americas, the Caribbean, Europe, Britain, and migration is a key reason why this has happened. Now, the story of migration isn't new. Migration has been taking place for the best part of 1,000 years in Britain. And migration is a key reason why we ended up having Romans in this country. Now, just to check your understanding, let's see if we understand what the key word migration means. Does migration mean option A, staying in one country? Option 2, moving to another country? Option 3, learning a different language? Or option 4, not learning a new language? Pause the video and choose one of the answers. And if you got option 2, you are correct. Migration means moving from one country to another. As I said, some people move as a result of work. Some people move as a result of being part of a larger empire. Some people move as a result of persecution. And also, some people were forcefully moved, and we'll find out about that at a bit later date. Now, look at the map. We have a map in front of us. What might the shaded regions have in common? So we've got this map and we've got a number of regions that have been shaded. You've got Britain, or at least the south, so England and parts of Wales have been shaded. You've got various different countries in Europe. You've got Spain, which would include modern-day Portugal. you've got Italy, you've got North Africa, you've got parts of what we call Asia Minor. All of these places have been shaded. And what do you think they may have in common? Okay, now the key thing that all of these shaded areas have in common was they were once a part of the Roman Empire. That's right, the Roman Empire controlled all of these regions that were shaded. Now, the Roman Empire originated in what is modern day Italy, in a region known as Rome. That is where it originated. But over time, through having a really, really strong military and through conquering various different areas, the Roman Empire grew larger and larger. And the Roman Empire, you see, is one of the key reasons why we started to have Africans in Roman Britain. So the Romans first conquered Britain in 43 AD, and they conquered Britain under the emperor at the time called Claudius. Now, the first recorded African community in Roman Britain was stationed at Hadrian's Wall, right? They were known as the Aurelian Moors, so after the general Marcus Aurelius, and they guarded Hadrian's Wall, which, kind of kept out all the people that they didn't want in Britain, because before the Romans came to Britain, you also had a group of people known as the Celts. Now, the Celts and the Romans were constantly at war with each other, and the Romans were unable to conquer the northern parts of Britain, which is modern day Scotland, really. So Hadrian's Wall was built over to protect it. Now, the wall was built in the years after 120 to defend Roman Empire after attack. And it was also designed, as we said, to control the trade and movement from the area. But what's interesting is, as I said, the first ever recorded Black presence or African presence in Britain was at Hadrian's Wall. And these were auxiliary soldiers who were guarding. Now, auxiliary soldiers were soldiers who would guard and fight for the Roman Empire in this period. Now, once again, who were the Black Romans in Britain? Now, a lot of the Black Romans in Britain would tend to come from the region at the bottom, which is modern day Africa. So a lot of the Black Romans came from Africa. Now, you might ask, why did they come to Britain in the first place? Now, Britain at the time had various different minerals and resources like tin. And because Britain was a part of the Roman Empire, it led to migration. People moved all across the empire. And this actually made Britain quite diverse. In Roman Britain, you'd have found Africans, for example. You'd have found what we'd call Italians. You'd find people from France. We'd find people from Europe. It was a very, very diverse area or diverse region. And that leads us to one of the most famous statements that really hit me when I was growing up. The famous statement was, there were Africans in Britain before the English came. Now, what that means is Africans migrated to Britain from the Roman Empire. And when we talk about the English, we're really talking about what some people refer to as the Anglo-Saxons, the Angles and Jutes from modern day Germany. That is where they came from. And that's who we tend to refer to as the English. And don't you think that's amazing that the presence of Africans in Britain stretches back way back to almost 1,000 years? Way before the transatlantic slave trade, way before the Windrush, there's been Africans actually living here. Now, the question you might ask is, how do you know? How do you know in the first place that there were Africans in Roman Britain? Pause the video right now, and we're going to move on to the next part of the session. Now, we know about African Britain or African to Roman through a technique we know, which is, and I was doing so fucking well.